Hey Greenfield, hope everybody's enjoying their Memorial Day weekend. I'm out doing a little bit of gardening right now, and I'm sure that others are out enjoying this beautiful day, or at least I hope you are. But this is not about gardening, this is about paved roads, and I wanted to give a quick message to some of the people in the city. I posted a message about Kurt Street earlier this week, and I'm going to knock on a few doors here later today to talk to the people who live on that street about the project that's coming. Before I do that, I want to say something up front. The city staff, they do a pretty amazing job with paved roads and keeping them in shape. So this isn't about that. This is about one specific street and a vote that happened on May 19th. A vote where I was the only one, again, who voted no. And I want to explain why. Kurt Street has the worst pavement rating in the city, a PCI of 30 out of 99. It needs to be fixed, and nobody disputes that, including me. But here's the thing. The road is already paved. It's in rough shape, but it's paved. What's being proposed is a reclaim, grinding up the existing pavement base and laying down a new asphalt. No new curb, no new gutter, no beautification, just a basic reconstruction of a paved road that already exists. That matters because under Minnesota law, the city can only charge a property owner up to the appraised benefit gain to their property value, not the full cost of construction, and not some automatic 50-50 split of that amount that comes in higher than the actual benefit. So, in a 30 to 40-year-old neighborhood where the road is already paved and no curb and gutter is being added, the appraiser has to answer one question. What does going from a deteriorated paved road to a new paved road actually add to the value of these homes? And that question needs to be answered independently before anyone tells the appraiser what the project is going to cost. Right now, that's not how it works. Under the current process, the city engineer engages the same appraisal firm he's used year after year, and the cost estimate goes to the appraiser as part of the engagement. That process is already underway. We can't reverse it because the council majority voted to move forward before the assessment policy was reviewed. Fixing that process is one of the specific changes I've been pushing for. So let me tell you the whole story, because this didn't start in May. First, a little about the street. This neighborhood was platted in the early 1970s, and the homes were built over the next 30 years, from 1970 all the way to about 2000. Staff has no record of when this road had been resurfaced and no record of when it was first paved. On the night of May 19th vote, nobody had figured out when these properties were last assessed for the street improvement. And that answer matters a lot. Here's why. Under the city's current assessment policy, if the last assessment was more than 40 years ago, residents pay 50% of the project cost. And the city engineer's preliminary estimate is about $270,000. And that brings it to roughly $3,800 per household of the 35 properties. Now, if the 25% tier applies for properties under my proposal, the properties assessed at 20 to 40 years, it drops it to about $1,900. For 35 families on this street, that difference is real money. Now, the timeline, I want to be precise here because it's all on the public record. In August of 2025, the council took up a review of the assessment policy. A conflict of interest was raised about me and Councilmember Vandeputty. I proposed a narrow fix on the record, dropped that one provision that triggered the conflict, and proceed with the rest of the policy review. The city attorney confirmed that that would cure the financial interest. The mayor rejected that path. At the same meeting, he reassigned my committee appointments, saying on the record he was no longer comfortable with me representing the city with our partners. The policy review stopped. The Greenfield Road project finished. The conflict went away. But the review was never picked up back up. So on February 17th of this year, I formally asked for a work session on a draft assessment policy ordinance, and I had prepared it and submitted it through the city administrator. The mayor asked if any other council member would second the request to schedule it, and nobody did. The assessment policy didn't make it onto the work plan. I asked again at the April 7th meeting. This time it was added, but with explicit framing that staff would get to it when convenient, and other priorities could bump it. At the time, we didn't know about Kurt Street. There was no discussion about that. Then on April 21st, the same night, a Kurt Street resident came to the meeting asking for his road to be fixed. The city administrator revealed something very interesting. Staff had already been working on a cost estimate for Kurt Street with the engineer for about 3 weeks. The goal was to finish construction by November. And the administrator said clearly on the record, we want to address the assessment policy before we get into anything. The work plan was updated that night by vote to formally include the assessment policy review. Then on May 19th, without that review ever happening, the council voted 4-1 to authorize plans and specifications for Kurt Street that includes engaging an appraiser. And it starts a statutory clock under Chapter 429. So here's what residents lose moving forward under the old rules. First, a blind appraisal process where the appraiser submits their benefit range before they see the project cost estimate. That way the cost can't anchor to the appraisal. Second, appraiser independence and rotation, meaning the appraiser is independent from the engineering firm. The city maintains a panel of at least 3 qualified appraisers, and no single appraiser handles 2 projects in a row. And the council, not the staff, not the engineer, picks the appraiser for each project. Third, a partial prepayment option, letting residents prepay at least 25% of their assessment before they get certified with the county, which reduces both the balance and the interest they'd pay over time. And fourth, anchoring the assessment fees to the actual cost of the bond required to fund the project rather than an inflated cost as has been done in previous years. None of those protections exist today, and the process to engage an appraiser is already underway without them. We now know all of this started 3 weeks before the April 21st meeting, where the council formally agreed the assessment policy should come first. The delay I was asking for would add up to about 4 to 6 weeks. Review the policy at the June work session, adopt it, authorize engineering at the same meeting. The project could still get done this fall. The first lift goes down in 2026 either way. What was at risk was the earliest possible start date. What I was trying to protect was every Kurt Street property owner's right to be assessed under a fair, transparent process. So that's why I'm walking Kurt Street today. The people on the street deserve to know where things stand, what protections were on the table, and what the council chose not to wait for. The road is going to get fixed. My question has always been, are people paying for it going to be treated fairly? That has always been my goal, and I have been willing to be painted as a troublemaker for asking hard questions, because I was elected to represent the taxpayers and not the city. So that's my message today. If you have any questions, please reach out. I am always happy to answer any questions. And enjoy your Memorial Day weekend. Take care.